Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. What happens when months of accusations, anger and hidden pain finally explode into one unforgettable confrontation? Well, on the streets of Weatherfield, Carla Connor just proved that when you push someone too far, the truth can hit like a thunderbolt. In one of the most emotionally intense moments to hit Weatherfield in years, Carla Connor finally confronts Becky after weeks of tension and accusations. What Becky thought would be the moment she exposed Carla turns into the exact opposite, as Carla reveals the devastating truth and leaves Becky completely shattered in front of everyone. So let's talk about what just went down, because this episode delivered a confrontation that fans are going to be talking about for a very long time. For weeks leading up to this moment, tension had been quietly building across the couples. The atmosphere around Weatherfield felt uneasy, like something was about to explode. People could sense it. Conversations carried an edge to them. Rumors and accusations had been circulating, and at the center of it all were Carla and Becky. Becky had become convinced that she knew exactly what was going on behind the scenes. In her mind, the story was clear. She believed Carla had been hiding something significant, something that would reveal a darker truth about the choices Carla had been making lately. Becky felt certain she had pieced together the puzzle, and she walked around with the confidence of someone who thought they held all the answers. What Becky didn't realize, though, was that Carla had been quietly preparing for this moment all along. Instead of reacting emotionally the way she might have in the past, Carla had taken a different path this time. She stayed silent, observing everything around her, while Becky continued building her case and spreading accusations. Carla was gathering strength and waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth. And that moment finally arrived. The episode opens with a tense mood hanging over the cobbled streets of Weatherfield. The residents seem to feel that something dramatic is about to unfold. There's a strange sense of anticipation in the air, like the calm before a storm. Then Becky storms into the factory. She isn't there to have a quiet conversation. She is there for a confrontation. Becky demands answers immediately, her anger echoing through the building as workers and bystanders turn to watch what's happening. Becky expects Carla to react the way she used to. In the past, Carla might have looked shaken or defensive when confronted so publicly. Becky assumes that if she pushes hard enough, Carla will crumble under the pressure. But the woman standing in front of her is not the same Carla she remembers. Carla, portrayed by Alison King, stands her ground with a calmness that immediately changes the energy in the room. Her expression is controlled, but there is a powerful intensity behind her eyes. You can't tell instantly that this conversation is not going to unfold the way Becky imagined. Becky launches straight into a furious rant. Her accusations come out rapidly. One after another, she claims Carla has been dishonest, manipulative, and deceptive. Becky insists that Carla has been hiding something major, something that could completely change the way everyone sees her. The entire factory floor falls quiet as Becky's voice fills the pace. Workers look on in shock as the confrontation grows louder and more heated. For a moment, it feels like things could spiral out of control. And then Carla speaks. Instead of yelling back immediately, Carla raises her voice with a clear, steady authority that cuts through the tension like a knife. The room falls silent almost instantly. She tells Becky that enough is enough. Carla makes it clear that the time for rumors, half-truths, and wild accusations is over. If Becky really wants the truth so badly, Carla says she's finally ready to reveal it. What follows is one of the most emotional confessions the show has delivered in recent memory. Carla begins explaining that Becky has completely misunderstood the situation she's been obsessing over. The story Becky believed so strongly turns out to be built on assumptions that are far from reality. Slowly, carefully, Carla starts dismantling Becky's accusations one by one. Every explanation chips away at the narrative Becky had created in her mind. The more Carla talks, the heavier the atmosphere becomes. What once felt like a heated argument begins transforming into something far more emotional and painful. Becky's anger starts to fade. First, it turns into confusion than disbelief. Carla's voice begins to tremble slightly as she explains the truth behind her actions. She reveals that the choices she made were never about manipulation or deceit. They were sacrifices, difficult decisions she made in order to protect the people she cared about. And the most heartbreaking part, she carried the burden alone. Carla admits that she stayed silent because she believed exposing the truth earlier could have caused even more damage. She thought shielding others from the fallout was the only way to prevent things from becoming worse. Becky tries to interrupt at several points, desperate to regain control of the conversation. But this time, Carla refuses to be silenced. She tells Becky that she has spent far too long being blamed, judged, and pushed into a corner. For years, she has tolerated people assuming the worst about her, but today she refuses to let that happen again. The confrontation suddenly becomes deeply personal. Carla reminds Becky of the loyalty she once showed her. She talks about the times she stood by Becky when others turned away. She reminds her of the trust they once shared, and she explains just how painful it has been to watch that trust twist into suspicion and cruelty. By this point, a crowd has gathered around them. The workers and residents watching the confrontation are completely silent. No one dares interrupt as the emotional intensity builds toward its peak. Becky, who had walked in so confidently just minutes earlier, now looks visibly shaken. Her voice cracks when she demands proof. She clings desperately to the idea that maybe Carla is still hiding something. Maybe there is a way to hold on to the version of events she believed so strongly. But Carla anticipated that moment. Without hesitation, she produces undeniable evidence confirming everything she has just said. The effect is immediate. Shock ripples through the room. Becky stares at the evidence in stunned silence, the reality of the situation finally crashing down on her. The person she believed she was exposing as a liar was actually protecting everyone the entire time. For Becky, the realization is devastating. Her anger collapses instantly, replaced by heartbreak and overwhelming guilt. The confidence she had moments ago disappears completely as she begins to understand just how wrong she was. Carla watches this transformation with a mix of sadness and quiet strength. Her expression softens slightly, but she doesn't back down from what she said. She tells Becky that the accusation and lies have gone on long enough. If Becky truly cares about truth and justice, then she has to accept the reality of what she's done. Tears begin forming in Becky's eyes as the weight of the situation sinks in. She admits that she never imagined things could be this complicated. In her mind, the story had always been simple. Carla was the villain hiding something terrible. But now that illusion is shattered, Carla responds gently but firmly, explaining that life rarely fits into neat categories of heroes and villains. Sometimes people make painful choices for the sake of protecting others, and those choices can look suspicious from the outside. For everyone watching, the moment is unforgettable. Many of the residents had already formed opinions about Carla based on Becky's accusations. Seeing the truth unfold in front of them forces them to reconsider everything they thought they knew. The tension in the room slowly transforms into stunned silence. And for the first time in weeks, Carla finally takes back control of her own story. In a powerful final moment, she tells Becky that she never wanted their conflict to reach this point, but she refuses to keep apologizing for decisions she made out of love and desperation. Becky stands there struggling to respond, completely overwhelmed. Her world has been turned upside down in just a few minutes. The guilt on her face makes it clear that repairing the damage will not be easy. With that, Carla turns and walks away. She leaves the factory with her head held high, her dignity intact. Behind her, Becky remains frozen in the middle of the room, surrounded by the weight of a truth she can no longer deny. The scene ends with Becky collapsing into a chair, her composure completely shattered as the magnitude of Carla's revelation finally sinks in. For longtime fans of Coronation Street, the moment feels like a defining chapter in Carla Connor's story. It's a powerful reminder that despite everything she has endured, Carla refuses to remain silent when pushed too far. At the same time, the confrontation marks a turning point for Becky as well. Her relentless pursuit of what she believed was justice ultimately led her into a painful collision with reality. In the days following the confrontation, the emotional aftermath spreads across Weatherfield. Residents are divided. Some people begin to realize how unfairly Carla had been judged all along. Others struggle to accept that Becky's accusations were built on misunderstanding rather than truth. Carla tries to move forward with quiet dignity, but the emotional wounds from the ordeal are still clearly visible. This confrontation completely changes the dynamics in Weatherfield. Carla has spent years fighting against assumptions about her character, and this moment marks a powerful shift in the balance of power. By finally standing up and revealing the truth, she reclaims her voice and forces the community to reconsider everything they thought they knew. For Becky, the fallout is even more personal. Her determination to uncover what she believed was wrongdoing ultimately led her into a devastating mistake. Now she must face the consequences of accusing someone who was actually protecting others all along. This moment also sends ripples through every relationship connected to the situation. Friendship may fracture, loyalties could shift, and rebuilding trust will take time. In a place like Weatherfield, where everyone's lives are intertwined, the emotional impact of this confrontation will likely continue shaping future storylines for quite a while. Honestly, this might be one of the most powerful Carla moments we have seen in years. Watching her finally refuse to be pushed into silence felt incredibly satisfying. For so long, Carla has been judged by people who assumed they understood her motives, and seeing her calmly dismantle those accusations was both emotional and empowering. What made the scene even stronger was the complexity of Becky's reaction. She wasn't just defeated, she was devastated by the realization that her anger had been aimed in the wrong direction. That kind of emotional conflict is exactly what makes great storytelling in long-running dramas. Moments like this remind viewers why characters like Carla remain so compelling after all these years. At the end of the day, this explosive confrontation has changed everything on the cobbles. Carla has reclaimed control of her story. Becky is left grappling with the consequences of her accusations, and the entire community of Weatherfield is now forced to reconsider where the truth really lies. But the big question now is what happens next. Will Becky find a way to make things right after realizing how wrong she was? Will Carla ever truly forgive the accusations that nearly destroyed her reputation? Or has this confrontation created wounds that can never fully heal? I want to hear what you think. Do you believe Becky deserves forgiveness? Or do you think Carla should move on and leave the past behind? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most dramatic moments on the street, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next big twist. Because if this episode proved anything, it's that the drama in Weatherfield is far from over.